Hello, everyone, and welcome back to This Day in History, our nightly look back at a specific day in history, where we take a look back at a specific day in history, examine the events of that day, the historical context in which the events occurred, and the historical ramifications. As always, please, if you have not yet, hit the subscribe button, the bell notification icon to be alerted anytime I post new content, and tell a friend. And as always, thank you for watching. And now, without any further ado, this day in history, March the 2nd. And on this day in 2020, we had a significant shakeup in the Democratic primary for president. Over the course of 24 hours, two top candidates dropped out of the race. Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota and former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg, both dropped out and endorsed former Vice President Joe Biden. Also, former Congressman Beto O'Rourke, who dropped out of the race in November, endorsed Biden. All in Dallas, Klobuchar and O'Rourke at a rally. We don't yet know, at the recording of this, the historical significant ramifications of these endorsements. But if Biden goes on to win the nomination, these will be seen as pivotal moments. I don't see any parallel in any other presidential race in which top contenders, which Klobuchar and O'Rourke were, dropped out in such rapid succession and endorsed a candidate just hours before a major slate of primaries. Klobuchar has a primary tomorrow in her home state, which she could have won, but she dropped out and supported Biden. I've never seen a field contract this quickly and concisely behind one candidate. Now, you could say it shows fear on the side of the Democratic establishment if you're a Bernie supporter. Or you could take the notion that people who would be more inclined to support Joe Biden take and say that this is candidates realizing that there's only one viable candidate besides Joe Biden. Or you could take the view that I take, and full disclosure, I am a Biden supporter, that this is strategic. The candidates looked at this and said they don't have a path to the nomination anymore. They don't have the support among enough diverse group to win. And they don't want Bernie Sanders to get the nomination. And they don't feel Michael Bloomberg is electable. That leaves them with one option, Joe Biden. And it's very possible that they could look to receive cabinet positions or a spot on the ticket. And, in reality, Joe Biden and these candidates, there was not a lot of daylight between them. So, that's the big thing. We'll see the historical ramifications later down the line. Some births that occurred on this day. In 1935, in Paris, Texas, Gene Stallings was born. Gene Stallings, of course, was a football player in college for the Texas A&M Aggies. He played under Coach Bryant and was one of the famed Junction Boys. After his playing days were done, he would join Bryant on his original staff at the University of Alabama. He would coach his alma mater, Texas A&M, after that, and have a long stint actually in the NFL, coaching under Tom Landry at the Cowboys, and his own head coaching position at the St. Louis Cardinals. Stallings would then return to Alabama in 1990 and coach, and would lead Alabama to a national championship in 1992. He would retire after the 1996 season, and before the arrival of Nick Saban, he was the most successful coach at Alabama since Coach Bryant, winning the school's 12th national title. Of course, Nick Saban is rewriting the record book at Alabama, but one of the most famed coaches in Alabama history was born on this day in 1935 in Texas. Deaths that occurred on this day. In 1921, in Washington, D.C., at the age of 70, Champ Clark died. Clark was a representative from Missouri that would serve as Speaker of the House during the administration of Woodrow Wilson and would help Wilson pass much of his agenda in office. So, Champ Clark died on this day in 1921. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good night.